G'day viewers, my name's Graham Stevenson and I'd like to invite you to come on a journey of creativity and learning and adventure through the series Colour in Your Life. There's an artist in every family throughout the world, and lots of times there's an artist deep down inside all of us as well. So grab your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, uncles and mums and dads and come and see how some of the best artists in Australia do what they do.
Hello,
Solveig, how are you?
I'm
good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Can I come in?
Please do.
Thank you. Well, g'day viewers and welcome back to Colour in Your Life. We're in Mullumbimby today in the Northern Rivers at a place called the Nortec Click Centre, and I'm with a very well-known artist from Mullumbimby, Solveig. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
It's fantastic to be here. Now, Solveig's got a very interesting history. You are a trained psychologist,
Yes.
hypnotherapist,
Yes.
NLP
Practitioner.
That's right, but also a fantastic artist, which has an incredibly interesting and diverse career. But her style is really, really interesting. It's something that I've never seen before. And when I first saw Solveig's work, I went, "Wow, this is fascinating, the way she puts it together." But tell me a little bit more about your journey to the world of art. I mean, how did this all begin for you?
As a child, I was an artist. That was my main focus. Not that I ever thought I would be an artist. I just had those sort of interests. I got a scholarship to the National Art School after school and had a fantastic bohemian experience, dived into the history of art, was influenced by Impressionists, Post-Impressionists, left college, got caught up in life, had 3 children, married, did my psychotherapy training, but grabbed pieces of art along the way, as you do.
One thing that I have noticed about what Solveig does is you really paint a lot of the identities in the area as well.
Yes.
The famous people, I mean famous actors, and just some characters that exist within this area. It's a sort of fairly...
It's full of characters.
It is, isn't it, without a doubt.
It's a unique bubble that I live in here.
It's a fantastic place, it really is. But we're going to go through with Solveig today and actually show you some things that we actually haven't seen before on the show, which is actually utilising a projector. You take your own photographs, of course, but it's utilising the projector to actually start this particular piece behind us. And Solveig's going to be working on this one for us during the day as well. But we're going to make a start initially with the projector and show you how that all comes about. It's a fascinating way to produce your work without having to blow it up into giant posters. But let's rearrange the studio so that we can do that, and we'll get the show started.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Okay, Solveig, I was just noticing that you've got the shadow over there. You've obviously got to stand aside when you do this type of work.
Yes, you wriggle around and you get the bits.
Okay, right, the ones that you need. And you're just using a mixture of...
I'm using quite a liquid paint and I'm using a square-edged brush because what I want is thick and thin lines.
Oh, okay.
Rather than just a smooth line. So, first of all, I'll get just very roughly the shape of the head.
Yes. And the type of board that you've got there, it's a primed board. Is that a special art board? Or?
No, it's just a normal craftwood board.
Okay.
But I prime it back and front so that there's no water absorption.
Get through, yes.
And that tends to work very well for me. It's a 3mm board. I like a nice light board.
Yes.
And I'm just virtually creating shapes for myself here. The blonde shapes, the highlighted shapes, the darker shapes that come down.
And the projector itself, how long have you been using something like the projector?
I find that for my style and for what I like to do, I've used a projector for a long time.
Yeah.
These modern projectors are excellent though, they've come a long way.
Yeah.
They give me the exact shapes that I want, you know, with no fuss.
Yeah, it's fascinating to be able to utilise technology. Obviously,
technology
it's amazing,
has come to meet me.
Yeah, which is
For
great.
years and years and years, it was much harder than this.
But I mean, this particular technique, funnily enough, I mean, obviously the fantastic part about technology, but the old masters were using this type of technique 400 years ago. Just wasn't with computers and projectors.
Yes, it gives you a good base to work from. I mean,
Yeah.
I can be as abstract as I like from here on, once I've just got this impression of the image. It doesn't have to be totally realistic. I can, you know, be quite rough with it.
And the technique that you have, I mean, there was obviously a moment in your career when you had an epiphany about the separation. I mean, as you said before, you don't really use tone, you use colour to get what you need.
I'm in love with colour. Colour turns me on no end. And I love the whole psychology and science of colour.
Yeah.
I like the mood effect of colour. I definitely consider that in all my paintings. I'm considering the mood that I want to create with the colours. And not just one colour, but its opposites and its complementaries and its harmonies, because they all have to work together.
Sure. But I mean, there must have been an influence of some sort that gave you the path that you're on at the moment.
My fascination with Impressionism,
Yeah.
when I studied that, how that happened in art history as, you know, out of the blue, out of very strict, serious, traditional rules of painting, you know, for church or patrons and things like that. When Impressionism started, these guys were sort of like revolutionaries in my mind that just opened up the way for personal art. And again, the way they interpreted colour.
Now tell me, who is this young lady that you're painting?
This is a friend of mine, Claire, who is a very excellent celloist. She's one of my beautiful blondes. This is my next series of 6 beautiful Mullumbimby blondes, and she's one of those.
Part of living in Mullumbimby really is very much about the nature and the love of the area and the people. There is a different sense of community around here, isn't there?
Absolutely. We are devotees of nature here.
Yeah.
For the most part, I would think. I mean, why would you live here if not because it's one of the most beautiful places in the world.
Yes.
And you walk out of your environment and you're in pristine nature.
Yes.
Perhaps the only person there with, you know, 10 miles of beach to walk. It's beautiful. It's for surfers, it's to bring up children, it's just a glorious place to be.
It's very much a part of what you do, which is nature and love. It's the appreciation of all of that.
Absolutely. Nature is my muse, no doubt about that. I only have to look in that direction to find my next subject matter.
Yeah, but even in the way that you use colour in your own work, it's dynamic.
I don't want to blend colour. I want colour to sit beside another colour and to have a dynamic effect, almost an energetic effect. I would like my paintings to look as if they are alive, and live things move. The eye has to jump to the edge of those colours, and if those colours are dynamic, the eye can't sit still, and so you get this incredible energetic quality, which, you know, really pleases me when I capture that.
It's fantastic.
Now you can see I'm not a realist. These lines aren't exact, they're not precise, they're just a guide that I'm going to come back in later and use as a shape to introduce colour and go from there.
But this is a great demonstration on, you know, particularly when it comes down to portraiture, and you do it so well, where people get so wound up about, is this too big, is it too small, is the perspective right?
Yeah.
And this just really assists you in taking out those unknowns.
It certainly does.
Okay, well, we've almost mapped that one out, but you've obviously got this other one that you've been working on for a while, which has got some really solid content in it. What we can do is we can move away from this one and then go on and see how you put all of these great colours side by side, particularly with your flowers and your leaves, and this is, as you said before, that's the setting that Claire would rather be seen in.
Yes, absolutely. She's an outdoorsy girl.
Yeah.
And she's in Mullumbimby because she's a nature lover as well.
Okay.
And her music It's almost like you put it outside and it meets the cloud forms, the trees, everything. It's beautiful.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one then.
Okay.
Okay, well here we are. You're going to go through some of your methodologies with paint now,
Yes.
and how you get those really dynamic effects. So, and you're using Derivative Matisse
Yes, I am.
acrylics, are you?
I find their colour is beautiful and rich and stays, doesn't fade. I'm quite happy with that as a product.
Okay.
It being acrylic, the opaque, you know, I don't get any bleed through. I can just sort of make it as dense as I like. And what I'm going to do here is I have my flowers in their background colour.
Yeah.
And now I'm just going to go ahead and put a nice sort of inset colour into that, leaving an edge as I go around. And the effect that this will have is to give form to the flowers themselves.
Okay.
And you can see the way they're starting to leap forward. And that's what I want. I want them to come right forward.
You've got a fairly, you've obviously mixed that with water, but it's a real sort of muddy paste.
Yes, I like it to not be totally flowing,
Yeah.
but I don't like an impasto paint. I like to end up with a very smooth surface.
But I can see the amount of time that you put into your work. It's quite detailed in its
Yes.
composition.
And when this is finished, I may even come in again at a later time and highlight these with a little white, or just depends. Like with everything, you stand back, you have a look, you see how that's working.
So some of the portraits that you've done of the well-known people in Mullumbimby. Now we've got Paul Brecht, who is an activist.
Yes, he's our global eco-warrior. He does a lot of work, writes a lot of letters to the paper, makes everybody aware and conscious of their responsibilities in helping things like Sea Shepherd. If the council isn't behaving properly, Paul will let you know.
Sure. And you've got a lass called Danny Do Butterfly, who's a performance artist.
She's a performance artist and she's quite a brilliant musician. Yes, just a very authentic, very entertaining lady.
It's fantastic.
Yes.
And then Mandy Nolan, who's one of your well-known comedians around here.
She's our queen of comedy. Mandy is a great asset to the community.
And also Rebecca Ireland, who's a singer-songwriter.
Wonderful singer-songwriter. The painting I did of her was at a time when her son had died a year before, and she was coming out of that awful situation. And her son's name was Rain. Okay. So I've done a portrait.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. And then Shanti Ananda, who I actually know myself, is a very well-known character in this whole Northern Rivers area, I suppose you could say.
Shanti hitchhikes the whole area every day and just bringing his own unique style of happiness to the planet.
Yeah, and then Mr. Tony Barry, who's a very well-known Australian actor.
Yes, Tony came up here in the last couple of years. A very dynamic person in the community who is probably going to be setting up his legacy for the rest of his life now with youth.
A magnificent community of people that really care
It
about
is,
each
and these
other.
people need to be celebrated. They do
Yeah.
a great job here. We all appreciate them very much.
So in that time, obviously this acrylic paint has dried, or is it still wet? Or?
Oh no, acrylic paint is brilliant. It
Yeah.
dries like that.
It's done.
As opposed to oil paint. And I'm not patient enough for oil paint. I used to oil paint, but no, this is wonderful. And I love the opacity
Yes.
of acrylic.
Yeah, you've actually tried a number of different mediums over the years, but
Yes.
you know, obviously coming to the stage where you are now with acrylics, it's something that you obviously greatly enjoy.
I do. I enjoy lots of mixed media, and like you say, I've tried heaps, but I've come home to this technique and to these colours, or to acrylic colour. I don't know that I'll venture away from here again, because it's just too damn good.
So I can see you've put a base colour down, and then there's another colour that goes off to separate the line. So you can
Yes.
sort of keep building on that as much as you
Keep
want
building.
to.
I mean, by the time it's finished, each little shape might have 2 or 3 or 4 edges, and that just puts it in a context, and that just either makes it come forward or recede back. and it gives it movement. Because of the colours, because of the pink here and the orange in a sea of green, and that's going to be really dynamic. And these orange flowers are really going to work with the blue of the sky.
Yes.
So it ties it together. Because I've got so much blue sky here, this cello will be a very orange sepia, which will just be the foil for that blue sky, and this orange will come right forward and the sky will just go right back.
Yeah.
So it's all about creating depth of field with colour.
But I think with that creative aspect of the way that you approach nature, I mean, nature, the closer you get to it, you can look into your work and see this, it's just fascinating. There's so much to learn simply by walking into the backyard.
Yes.
It's amazing, it really is. And most people don't know the formulas that make up nature.
No.
You know, how it actually operates, why a plant has a leaf a little bit above the other leaf, just off to the side. It's so that the sun can get through onto all of them.
Exactly. Oh, it's creative, but it's ingenious science as well, and it's a beautiful marriage. My style is just purely shape and colour. Now there are 7 elements of design. You know, you've got texture, contrast, line, lots of others, but none of them appeal to me like shape and colour do. It may start off as a big shape, but by the time I've finished, it will have shapes within shapes within shapes around all of these. And what will come out of that is you'll see the depth. You'll be able to see inside the cello because of the way the colours come out. This area here will be white because it'll be the light flaring off the shiny cello, and that white here will balance the white clouds.
Okay.
Yeah, so you know, I suppose my rules and my laws are internalised, but they work and every time. And I can finish a painting and be very satisfied and not have any parts of it that don't please me, because it's almost like it's followed a particular rule rather than just be creative free flow.
The laws of Solveig.
Yes, yes.
Okay, Solveig, you're going to start blocking in some colour for us now.
I am. I'm going to start doing the clothes. Again, it's just quite rough at this point, leaving the lines that are already there. You don't want to really lose those. And so I'm just going to keep them happening.
And the mixture that you mix with that, it doesn't look like it's as solid as...
No, it doesn't have to be solid because it's a base colour.
Sure.
And if it's a little bit varied on the edge, that's okay. It doesn't have to be all dark. Sometimes it works just as well for a bit of pale purple to turn up. And I'm back to using a square brush for this sort of stuff because I can get thick and thin lines. And the only part of this purple you will see when it's finished will be the edge colour around, you know, as it builds up. But purple is a very good one because it's quite electric once you put anything yellow or red on top of it.
I was noticing in your water paintings as well, the effect that you get with the light. You get up close when you're obviously observing the painting, but you step back and they form into photographs just about.
Oh, that's part of the sheer delight, is to work up close, and it is so abstract. It's just little shapes, you know, of colour. But then when I put it back and I step back and it all just goes click, and I think, oh yeah, it's working.
It's fantastic.
And it is that's part of the joy of it, is to work in both abstract and realist impressionist, because it's all about how light plays on form. It's not really about what's there. It's only ever about the illusion that is created for your rods and cones.
Yes.
That is so fascinating and so beautiful, because you know you create the beauty with your own vision.
And the fact that our eye actually sees everything upside down.
Yes.
And the brain changes it for us.
The brain does amazing things to create our reality that we perceive. Because our brains are brilliant, incredible. We're pretty amazing creatures. Why we behave so badly in the world, I don't know. We could be such good influences on everything. My great love, apart from art, is my town, my community. That's where I'll be working for the rest of my life, sort of drawing from my community for subject matter and ideas.
But it is an incredibly creative area.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, sort of artists per square inch, musicians, writers, creatives of all sorts. And we also have a very inclusive town for people with disability. Rather than being locked away in facilities, they get to be part of the town. They're always out for coffee with a carer. They're all, you know, everybody knows them. It's very inclusive. At this point, you can see it just needs to be as rough as it is.
Yeah, and there's obviously, you know, with the varying layers that you put on, there's a tremendous amount of work involved.
The top layers are done, you know, in flow and end up being incredibly smooth and opaque and flat. There's none of this sort of textured work or paintbrush effect. They're just sort of areas of flat colour.
But you were even talking before about the washes or the glazes. That's really a wash, I suppose, that you put into the clouds in certain areas as well.
Yeah, and especially on complexions and things like that. So this is really me just getting rid of all the white with a base colour that is only really going to just peek out at the sides.
Yeah.
What most of this colour is doing, apart from the edge, is building up a depth that by the time I get the top layer coat on, it'll be nice, thick, really opaque. If I just did the edge and just did the colour, it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't have the same richness to it that, you know, sort of 3 layers of paint would do.
Okay, so well, I've seen that you've put in that looks like raw sienna across the top of those, the face and the hands. You're really getting to a place now where you've got those base colours mapped in.
Yes.
And as I said beforehand, with the amount of time that it takes you to do the work, we're going to have to leave you to finish this off over a period of time. But with the beauty of television, obviously the audience can see the development of this as it goes along.
Yeah.
And you can see the pictures change.
Yes, in that first sketch, you think you know what it's going to look like, but then I do a journey way out into left field before it all comes back together again.
It's fascinating. Okay, viewers, well, another fantastic day with a very talented lady. Solveig, thank you so much for having us along. Now, we've finished with a great piece here, and this is a Mr. Tony Barry, one of Australia's very well-known actors, and obviously a great celebrity within the area. Now, if people want to come and see your work, what's your website address?
Solveig, solveig.com.au.
And fantastic artist as well. And if you want to see some more of all of these fantastic artists, you can come to colourinyourlife.com.au and our Facebook page at Colour in Your Life. Amazing things going on these days. But we're going to head off again. Love Mullumbimby, fantastic people, fantastic woman, and we're going to head off. But remember, before we go,
make sure you put some colour in your life.
Thanks, Dan. See you later, guys. Bye now.